there, good to have you right here on Viewing Africa. I am Dorcas Bello. Now, more African countries are seeking to leverage their tourism potential while simultaneously developing sports by partnering with football clubs across Europe. Malawi is the recent country to strike a deal with a European club, CD Legends, a Spanish Segunda Division club, to make the country a rotating main sponsor for the club. Let's take a look at this story. Football in Malawi is about to see a facelift after CD Legends have reached out for this partnership to empower footballers in the country.
For Club Deportivo Leganés to reach out into Africa to develop talent and to develop relationships and to continue to internationalize the brand of Leganés.
Agnes Batemba, the Deputy High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, who was present during the launch of these partnerships, stresses Malawi's willingness and support to develop its sporting ecosystem.
Partnership with the Leganés Club is going to help us because it's in the plan that at least they should develop a sports complex where we can bring in young talents, where they can be trained, equipped, and then they should be able to be exposed even to international soccer. So that would help us to a great deal.
However, beyond the agreement opening opportunities and talent in football in Malawian youth, it will upscale Malawi's brand as an ample tourism destination.
It's an honor for Malawi to be working with Club Deportivo Leganés. The history of Leganés is a fantastic history. We're looking at 95 years of the club existing. And I think if you look at football itself, the Spanish league is heavily regarded across the globe. And this is a great opportunity for Malawi.
Chwansi Simwaka, the Principal Secretary for Tourism, Culture and Wildlife, says.
And developing young athletes that can someday play on the first team here in Leganés.
Apart from Malawi, Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa, and other African countries have struck for a relative similar deal with European football clubs to promote their countries as tourism destinations. Now we're still talking sports. Let's come back to Nigeria, where the former Nigerian national side keeper is contributing immensely to women's game in Nigeria and the world at large, having produced several talented players for the Nigerian national team and a host of professional women's clubs across the globe. When Emmanuel Osahon started FC Robo as a football hub, it was an academy for boys. Opening to girls rocketed the academy to local stardom. Now, its founder wants that impact to reach far further. Let's take a look at this story. FC Robo, a football academy as well as a men's and women's football club, is one of those institutions that is recognized as a giant slayer, having produced several talented female footballers.
I played Stationary Stores, I played Concord FC, I played the ones I can remember, Union Bank, and this stuff. I played outside Nigeria, I played in Benin, I played in Egypt, but as God will have it, I have to come back home and start doing this.
Chidima Okeke, Rashidat Ajibade, and Asizat Oshoala have been through its doors.
One, right now, I am the leader of Mushi Coaches Council, and most schools in this area, you can see we don't have a standard stadium in Mushi. We use school premises. All these schools allow me to organize tournaments for them, and in the process, I fish out the good ones.
In a recent interview, Emmanuel Osahon says he considers himself and FC Robo as an opportunity for talented young footballers.
I know you are here, I am the ladder. Climb me and get to where you want to get to. So I am always prepared to bring another people to climb the ladder too. So if you climb, you go, other people will still be climbing. So the ladder is always busy. My mommy has made me to have passion of blessed memory for women. That women, so there are some women who will stand their ground in life. So I look for those kind of women, and I'm having them to school. I send them to learn trade. And some now, my next target now, by His grace, to win this ITO Cup by His grace, I want to send about 3 girls to coaching course. I want to start producing coaches.
Women professional footballers earn a fraction of what their male counterparts earn. However, that is beginning to change with the growth in popularity and increasing TV and online viewership of women's sports. Despite the limited amount of money circulating in women's professional football, the former Nigerian shortstopper noted that the club has a remarkable record, both at national and international level, and it is largely women players who have put FC Robo and its founder on the map.
My girls have always been around the national team for the past 4 or 5 years now, and they have been doing well. So it has been the female department. My girls have always been around the national team for the past 4 or 5 years now, and they have been doing well. So it has been the female department.
Osahon's ambition, for his words, doesn't stop with Nigerian or African football. He is looking far bigger and is determined that Nigeria plays an even bigger role on football's international stage. Now let's head over to Zimbabwe, where Tanaka Chimbeze is on a mission to expose skateboarding culture to as many young people as possible and change the society in the process. Let's take a look at this next story. 12 years ago, when Tanaka Chimbeze first spotted an interesting plank with wheels, he could never have imagined the impact it would have on his life. A chance encounter with co-founder of Skate Zimbabwe led to a gig teaching kids to skate and the formation of Chimbeze's Boneless Crew. The crew utilizes skating for social good, acknowledging the sense of community, brotherhood, and social impact, and developed during the interactions.
Deal with mental health. That's one of the things we stand for, mental health. That is, we try and conscientize people about mental health and help them find a healthy escape from depression, probably anxiety, and other mental health disorders.
Chimbeze's group of 5 instructors includes one female member, Tatiana Kondo. Skateboarding is now taking off across Africa, and Chimbeze feels he owes his positive outlook on life to the sport. He hopes others will feel the same way. Cameroonians take pride in football as a source of national unity, but women have not always been included in the equation. 16-year-old footballer Lamini Mana is shifting this narrative in this next story. The striker for the national under-20 side is just 16 and something of a national hero with several seasons of league under her belt and previous outings with the under-17 squad. He was part of the team that beat Gambia, then won on aggregate to qualify for the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations. Growing up in Ngwandere, a predominantly Muslim community in the Adamawa region, Mana struggled with actualizing her love for soccer. In addition to the cultural stigma of women in sports, there were plenty of other hurdles, some social, some systemic, and some even built into the sport itself that she had to face. Many of these are issues women around the world continue to face at almost every level and in almost all sports. So, the idea that a young girl might be able to earn a living from sports might have been difficult to appreciate. Mana's inspiration to girls comes from more than just her footballing skills. However, as she continues to realize more success on the pitch, she also assumes the role of breadwinner in her home. From her football, she can pay rent and school fees for her siblings. Young women everywhere are taking note, and Mana's mother is more supportive than ever, even though the beginning was a different story. Now, in this next story, the Kenyan national women rugby team just qualified for a key tournament in their hunt for a place at the World Cup. Let's take a look at it. Kenya was preparing to face South Africa's Springbok women, Cameroon's Indomitable Lioness, and Madagascar's Lady Marquise for the chance to play in a qualification tournament for the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup hosted by the global leaders England. Most of the team have already warmed down, but Chajira is running a passing drill with a few players. Chajira's ability to quickly convert visual data into explosive movements, muscle memory, and strategies as a result of a deep love for the game. The goal of competing at the highest level in 2025 is a major motivator.
If we qualify for the World Cup, it means World Rugby will come in for us, and we'll get funds, we'll get more games for exposure and money-wise.
Up sound. Several weeks earlier, Chajira and her squad had beaten Madagascar and Cameroon, which opened a spot for Kenya in the WXV 3rd Division clash later this year. The Lioness coach Dennis Wanja claims that the wider societal support will strengthen his team's battle's readiness.
The player is a good player, so we look at their sustenance, or their facilitation of training. We look at consistent sources of income. I would say most of these girls are single mothers, and they live hassles. They could be working elsewhere, and they are doing productive work for our country. So if they are assured of getting a source of income out of this sport, they would have peace of mind. Regular camps as well would enable the technical bench to cover up.
Are shared by players, managers, and owners across the continent, like Sintembele Kasawala, Zambian's captain. Kasawala also said that more representation at the top is critical to growth of women's sports in Africa.
Be improved if only women can get involved in administration at a higher levels, so that they can talk on our behalf.
One of the forces behind the development of rugby in Kenya and the growth of the women's game in particular is Nekasa Were. Were believes a more vibrant domestic ecosystem is what makes national teams like the Springbok women so successful.
We all need to understand the uniqueness of the women's version of the game, or perhaps even the uniqueness of sportsmen and sportswomen generally in Africa, which is that they are using rugby as a platform to wellness, as a platform to dignity. And so if you understand that model and the drive for people to join teams, whether clubs or to try and get into the national team, if you understand it's more than just a thing that they do on the weekends, if you understand that they have so much passion to do it despite the fact that it doesn't pay, majority of them are never going to be truly professional, if you understand the drive and the humans behind the game and why they do it, then I think that then helps or educates how we set up the structures, how we support them to be the best version of themselves.
The Lioness captain is a case in point. Tajara doesn't have a day job, and her rugby duties leave her with very little opportunities to bring in an income.
It's a little bit challenging because most of me as Sheila, I don't have a permanent job. Rugby is my day in, day out life. So when you don't get opportunity to go play, so you won't be paid. If you're not training, you won't be paid, because it's not that we have contracts, it's just a monthly payment. And if you're not there playing, it means there's no payment. So you have to work very hard. We have an opportunity like this, we take over, we play, we make number 1 or 2, we have more games so that we can get something for ourselves.
Upsam. Despite the numerous challenges faced, however, Were says steady progress will help the KRU build on its goal to promoting the women's vision of the sports.
So what's coming up next for the women's national team? They've just gone into Madagascar, and a win in Madagascar will open up so many doors for them. Will put them on a lot more and bigger international rugby stages. And with women's rugby or with any sport, I think it's one of those chicken and egg situations where the women need to perform in order to attract attention, but the women want attention, financial attention especially, in order.
The reality is that fat poses, equal treatment, and regularly packed stands will not come overnight for the Lioness and most other African women currently playing rugby. But Chajira and her pride are even more determined after their impressive performance in Madagascar to pounce on every opportunity in their hunt to showcase their talent and skills to the world stage. I recently saw a post that says if you're a Nigerian and you understand how rugby works, then you probably have lived in India. It's hard for Nigerians to relate. But we hope that Nigerians come back to the rugby sport and come back as quick as possible. Now, that's all we can take for today. But the visuals for this week complete package is from Bird Story Agency, a subsidiary of Africa No Filter. There you have it tonight on Viewing Africa. Africa is our continent to have and to hold. So embrace your Africanness. Until I come your way next time, Kukaoneche Africa. I am Dorcas Bello, and that's all that we have taken tonight. Bye.